muscle cars. They're more than just vehicles, they're a statement, a roaring, tire-smoking, gas-guzzling testament to American automotive culture. From the streets to the drag strips, muscle cars have carved their legacy with raw power and aggressive styling. But what happens when that power fizzles out? What happens when a car meant to dominate the road turns into a sluggish, underwhelming shadow of its former self? Not every muscle car was built to thrill. Some were built to disappoint. Welcome to today's episode where we take a deep dive into the top 10 worst muscle cars that should be scrapped. These are the cars that tarnish the muscle car name, plagued by weak performance, design missteps, and poor engineering decisions. So buckle up because in the next 25 minutes, we're about to uncover the most embarrassing moments in muscle car history. If you're a muscle car fan, you might want to look away. But if you love automotive fails, stick around because this ride is about to get bumpy. Number 1. 1978 Ford Mustang 2 King Cobra. We start with a name that should have been legendary, the Mustang King Cobra. When you hear the name, you might expect roaring power and aggressive styling. Instead, you got a disappointing shell of its former self. The second-generation Mustang was downsized due to fuel economy concerns, but in the process, it lost its muscle car essence. Even the performance version, the King Cobra, had a weak 4.9-liter Windsor 58, producing just 142 horsepower. That's less than some modern compact cars. The 0 to 60 mile/hour time, a sluggish 10.5 seconds. Not exactly the kind of speed you'd expect from a King Cobra. Number 2, 1978 Oldsmobile 442. Once upon a time, the Oldsmobile 442 was a force to be reckoned with. In the 1960s, it delivered powerful V8 engines and an exhilarating driving experience. But by the time we got to 1978, the story had changed dramatically. This once great muscle car was reduced to a mere shadow of itself. Equipped with a 305 cubic inch V8 producing just 160 horsepower, it could barely muster a 10.5-second sprint to 60 miles per hour. Even worse, handling was sloppy, and the once thrilling driving experience was replaced with mediocrity. This wasn't a muscle car, it was just another boring coupe with a 442 badge. Number 3. 1974 Pontiac GTO. Next up is a name that helped define the muscle car era. The Pontiac GTO. The original 1965 model was a beast, igniting the muscle car craze with its high-performance V8 and aggressive styling. But by 1974, things had taken a nosedive. This version of the GTO was nothing more than a Chevy Nova with a Pontiac badge. It had a 5.7-liter V8 but only managed 200 horsepower. A joke compared to earlier models. The styling was uninspired and the performance was underwhelming. In fact, it was so disappointing that Pontiac killed off the GTO after just 1 year. Number 4. 1974 Ford Gran Torino. The Ford Gran Torino is a car that had its moments of fame, especially in Hollywood. But when it comes to performance, the 1974 model was a disaster. Thanks to new emissions regulations and increasing vehicle weight, this once powerful muscle car had been neutered. The 7.4-liter engine, which once produced over 400 horsepower, was now making just 220. With a curb weight of nearly 4,500 pounds, the Gran Torino felt more like a boat than a muscle car. It may have looked cool, but driving it was a sluggish experience. Number 5. 1975 Chevrolet Camaro. The Chevrolet Camaro was supposed to be the Mustang's greatest rival. But in 1975, it lost all its bite. That year, the most powerful Camaro engine was a 5.7-liter V8, making just 145 horsepower. The once mighty Z28 model was temporarily discontinued, and the remaining trims were painfully slow. A 0 to 60 mile/hour time of over 10 seconds was embarrassing for a muscle car that once ruled the streets. It was clear the Camaro had hit rock bottom. Number 6. 1976 Dodge Charger. The Dodge Charger has long been one of the most iconic muscle cars of all time, with its aggressive stance and high-performance engines. But by 1976, the Charger had become a shadow of its former self. The Charger's transformation into a bloated, slow, and uninspiring vehicle was evident when the fourth generation debuted in 1975. While the muscle car market was already suffering from the effects of the oil crisis and stricter emissions regulations, the Charger was hit particularly hard. In 1976, the range-topping engine was a 6.6-liter V8, but it produced only 185 horsepower. This was a far cry from the massive power it once boasted, and the Charger was forced to carry around a massive 4,250-pound frame. The combination of underwhelming horsepower and the car's hefty weight led to disappointing performance. The Charger's 0 to 60 miles per hour time was a sluggish 11 seconds, practically a joke for a car that was once known for its speed. This Charger could no longer live up to its legendary name. Number 7. 1980. Mercury Capri. In 1980, Mercury introduced the Capri, meant to be a luxurious alternative to the Mustang, but it fell far short of expectations. The 1980 Capri wasn't the muscle car enthusiasts hoped for. It was built on the same platform as the Ford Mustang Fox body, but unlike the Mustang, it was nowhere near as powerful or exciting. The most powerful engine available was a 4.2-liter V8 that produced just 118 horsepower, a laughable number for any muscle car, let alone one trying to represent the era's performance pedigree. Not only was the power output disappointing, but the Capri's overall performance left much to be desired. It had a top speed that couldn't even compete with many compact sedans of the time. The car's lackluster performance, paired with its uninspired design, turned the 1980 Mercury Capri into a forgettable entry in the muscle car world. Number 8. 1981. Pontiac Grand Prix. By 1981, the Pontiac Grand Prix was a shadow of the car it used to be. Once known for its combination of power, comfort, and style, the Grand Prix had been downsized and re-engineered to meet the demands of the 70s and early 80s fuel-conscious drivers. The 4.3-liter V8 engine that replaced the larger, more powerful options made only 125 horsepower, an embarrassing figure for a car that was once a performance powerhouse. To make matters worse, the 0 to 60 mile per hour time was a sluggish 14 seconds, making it one of the slowest muscle cars ever produced. The handling was uninspiring, and the Grand Prix had lost its ability to excite behind the wheel. Pontiac also experimented with a diesel option in 1981, offering a 5.7-liter Oldsmobile diesel V8 that produced just 105 horsepower. This engine was unreliable, expensive to maintain, and even slower than the gasoline options. Consumers didn't bite, and the diesel Grand Prix became an unfortunate part of Pontiac's history. The 1981 Grand Prix was no longer the performance car it once was. It had become just another forgettable, fuel-efficient sedan. Number 9. 1980 Pontiac Trans Am and Trans Am Turbo. The Pontiac Trans Am was a muscle car legend, especially in the late 1970s, immortalized in movies like Smokey and the Bandit with Burt Reynolds behind the wheel. But by 1980, the Trans Am had become a far cry from its glory days. While it still had the flashy look, the performance left much to be desired. The 5.0-liter V8 engine in the 1980 Trans Am produced only 125 horsepower, a significant downgrade from earlier models. The car's acceleration was slow, with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time that felt more like an eternity. Things didn't improve much when Pontiac introduced the turbocharged 4.9-liter V8 in 1980, which produced 210 horsepower. While that number seemed impressive at the time, the turbocharged engine was plagued with reliability issues. The turbo system often failed, making the car more of a headache for owners than a high-performance machine. The 1980 Trans Am had become more of a visual statement than a true muscle car, and the performance could not live up to the iconic nameplate. Number 10. 2000 Chevrolet. In the year 2000, Chevrolet attempted to revive the Monte Carlo as a sporty vehicle, but the result was far from impressive. The Monte Carlo SS was front-wheel drive, which was a major departure from the rear-wheel drive muscle cars of the past. To make matters worse, the Monte Carlo SS's 3.8-liter V6 engine produced just 200 horsepower, barely more than some economy cars of the era. The car's acceleration was sluggish, with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 8.6 seconds. The Monte Carlo SS also came with a lackluster 4-speed automatic transmission, making it feel outdated compared to its competitors. While the car tried to emulate the muscle car vibe with its SS badge, it ultimately failed to live up to the legacy of Chevrolet's high-performance models. The Monte Carlo SS was a half-hearted attempt at reviving the muscle car, and it fell flat in almost every aspect. Well, there you have it. The top 10 worst muscle cars that time and performance left behind. These once promising machines, once roaring with power and full of potential, eventually became the underachievers of the muscle car world. It's a sad truth, but sometimes even the most iconic names can't escape the pressures of evolving regulations, rising fuel prices, and shifting consumer demands. But don't get us wrong, the legacy of muscle cars is far from over. For every one of these disappointing models, there's a true gem that continues to embody the spirit of power, speed, and engineering excellence. And that's why we love muscle cars so much. They're full of surprises, both good and bad. Now, we want to hear from you, our fellow muscle car enthusiasts. Which of these cars do you think deserves to be scrapped? Or do you think some of them still have some hidden potential left in them? Maybe you've owned one of these cars or know of another one that deserves a spot on this list. Let us know in the comments below. Your feedback and experiences are always welcome. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into some of the worst muscle cars out there, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more automotive content like this, where we talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between in the world of cars. If you're passionate about muscle cars, we've got plenty more videos to keep you revved up and ready to roll. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, whether they're a hit or a flop, the legacy of muscle cars will always be part of automotive history. Keep your engines running, and we'll see you next time.